Are you looking for a fun way to engage your kindergarten students in math and social studies? Then you should use the game Pirates and Maps and Math, oh my, to help teach these skills. So to play this game, you start out by telling your students that today we are going to be pirates. So something that's really fun is if you can get little pirate hats or some sort of pirate props to help them get into the mode of pretending to be pirates. So these would just go on their heads. They fit on adults too, so you can help join in to help them get into character. So you tell them that we're going to be pirates today, and then you each get a little treasure chest. So inside the treasure chest, each will have a different color coins. So purple, yellow, green, blue, and red. So you can engage the students just by asking them about what they know about pirates. So just to kind of activate their prior knowledge. And slowly kind of get them in the mood to pretend. So you ask them about pirates, what they know about pirates, what pirates like to search for, and then you move on to talking about buried treasure. So then you say, we're going to be pirates today, and you're each going to get a treasure chest, which these are super cute. They're super cheap on Amazon if you're looking for something easy to get. Or you can use little boxes if you have little boxes, or like a matchbox or something to use as treasure chests. A matchbox would work because they could decorate their treasure chests. But for these purposes, just to keep it simple, I got little treasure chests. So each has a different color, so that way you know whose treasure chest is whose, and that'll come in handy in the math portion of the lesson. So each student gets a treasure chest, and they get to go hide their treasure chests. So they each go hide their treasure chests somewhere in the classroom, if it's in a classroom setting, or you could even use like a section of a building so that students have more area to use. So for my games project, I am using my student serving moms family. So I'm gonna have each of my 3 kiddos go hide the treasure chest somewhere in the house. They each have to have it in a different room, and they can't tell their siblings where they hid it until later on. So after the treasure chests are hidden, you call the students back to a common area, and that'll be your start area. So you say, okay, so here's where we're gonna start. So if we start here, and you want your sibling to go find your treasure chest, and you can't tell them, you can't directly tell them where their chest is hidden, how are you going to convey to them what you need? What would a pirate do? So you can say, conversely, you could talk about how pirates would bury treasure, and they would go to a different island, but they had to remember where they buried it. So see if you can have the students come up with the idea of a map, instead of just directly telling them, just to kind of engage them and make them think about it. Like if a pirate wanted to tell a fellow pirate where he hid his treasure, but he had to like mail them something to tell them, how would they do that? And then eventually you get them to talk about how they had pirate treasure maps. So then you move on to telling them that we're going to make treasure maps to our treasure chests, to where we hid them, so that our siblings can go find them, and you're going to try to follow your other siblings' treasure map. So the students serving moms family that I work with, they have 3 kids. Well, they have 4 kids, but one's a newborn, so that they're not going to participate, of course. So 3 kids, and their ages 8, 6, and 4. So it's a pretty wide age range. So the level of maps that I'm going to get are going to be very different than if you were in a same age classroom. So I'm going to have to differentiate instruction a lot for them. but in a regular classroom, it shouldn't be as difficult. But for these purposes, I'm gonna have to do it that way. So each student will get a blank sheet of map paper, which I also found on Amazon, also super cheap. They are super cute because they look like they're kind of tattered, so that way when you make your map, it's like an old thing, just to keep them in character, because that way they engage in pretend play, symbolic play, technically, if you want to use the textbook's terms. So now that each student has paper, you can show them. So I'll show them my map first, just to kind of give them an idea, like this is what a map would look like. But I'm not gonna label anything on my map besides where we start and the X where the treasure is, because I want them to be creative about it. I made a really simple map with just some markers, but I'm gonna have a lot more craft materials for them so they can make theirs more complex and more fun. So it'll be a little more creative when they get to do it. But just because I don't have those materials, I figured it would be much easier to just do something simple, and that way they're not copying off of what I did. They can use their own ideas. So I did an overlay of their house, and then I found somewhere that I'm gonna end up hiding my treasure. So that's the map I made. And that way, so I'll just show them so they have an idea of what a map looks like, and I'm gonna make sure I tell them this is an overlay of the house. It's not like the front of the house, because you have to be able to like follow the line. So you have to have an overlay. After that, I'm gonna set them loose. I'm gonna take my map so they can't see my map, because I don't want them to copy it. I want them to have their own ideas and try to draw the house themselves. So they get started on that. And once all three are finished with their maps, if one of them finishes early, I can just tell them to work on it more, add some detail to it, or I'm gonna ask them to explain, like, why did you draw this or that, and just to kind of elicit more creative thinking. And then they are going to exchange maps, but first we're gonna follow my map just to give them an example of how to follow a map. So we'll go from the dining room into one of the kids' rooms, and it'll be hidden on one of the beds. I drew like a little square just to make it simple, so that it's not super difficult for the kiddos to figure it out. So we'll go on our little adventure and we'll find the treasure, and then each kid gets to take a couple of coins. Now I don't want them taking the entire chest because they need to save some for their siblings. So it's going to be practicing sharing and cooperative learning, so that they're working together as opposed to trying to win something. So they can each grab, like, I don't know, say I grabbed 4 coins. So eventually, after that, they get to follow each other's maps. So if they need help, they'll let me know. But I want to try to get them to the point where they can follow the map on their own and make a map that someone can follow. Now, if the map is too difficult to follow, what we can do is help them, like, point out, like, this is where it's getting difficult. How can we make this a little easier in our drawing, or whatever, just to help them to figure all that out. So eventually they'll all get to go to all the treasure chests, and they'll grab a certain number, just a random number of coins from each, but leaving some for their siblings, because that way they're learning sharing, and that each student has a different number of coins for each. So I'll just grab a little from each container. So after that, the students have practiced making a map and following a map. Now we gotta talk about, we have all this pirate's treasure. So how do we find out how much pirate's treasure we have without individually counting them? So in a regular classroom, what would happen was I would have them all do an addition problem, which is what I'm gonna have the oldest child do. But the 2 younger kiddos I'm gonna have to differentiate for, because they haven't learned addition yet. But one of the kids can count, so I'm gonna just have them count all of them up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, until they get to the end. And then that's just practicing counting. And then I'm going to have the little one, she can count a tiny bit, she can get a couple of numbers, but then we're gonna just count together. So while she's sitting there, I'll have her pick them up one by one, and I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then I'll count them for her. That way she is associating the number with the with a specific quantity, and then she's hearing those numbers even though she doesn't quite know them yet, but she's getting there. So for the older kiddo, she gets to do the addition problem, so to practice addition. So what I'll do is I'll have these boxes set up for her like I have on the back of my sheet. I'll put them on the back of her map, and we have these coins, and they'll go to each little section. So each little box, she gets to put the coins in the correct color one. So we'll be practicing colors too for the little ones. And then what I'm gonna have her do is count how many purple coins she has, say. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 purple coins. So then she would write 6 here. And then she would do that with all of them. So we've got 8. So we've got 8 blue coins. 6. I keep grabbing 6s. There's 4 yellow. And then 2, 4, 5. And then 7 green. So then she gets to practice a longer addition problem. So I'll start by having her cover up all of these numbers. So then she's just got 6 and 4, which would be 10. And then, so that's 10. And then she's gonna do 10 plus 7, so that'll be 17. And 17 plus 8. And if it's getting too high, she can count 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20, like that. Just to kind of, that way she has the manipulatives there if it's too difficult for her, just to help her kind of slowly learn addition. So we're at 25, and 25, so we're at 31. So 31 total coins. And that would be the answer. So she got the right answer, so she completes the game. So then we're going to talk about why pirates have to know math, because if pirates didn't know math, they couldn't add up all their treasure, all their pirates' booty. So we'll go over that, and then we're going to go over how you can use maps in real life, because we don't have a lot of pirates around anymore. But in real life, we use maps and GPSs and stuff, but I'm going to have them elicit those responses. So I'm going to ask what they know about maps, like where else do we use maps? See how they know different maps, like if they know about globes and different things like that, just to kind of get them thinking about maps. And then that's pretty much the end of the game. So I hope you enjoyed pirates and maps and math, oh my, and have a great night.